What's going on, guys? It's Teague from Battle City Games. I'm back with another one of our Lightning Overdrive deck profiles. You may recognize this one as Starry Night, which I profiled a couple months ago after the release of Ghost from the Past. But we did finally get the last Starry Night monster in Lightning Overdrive, so I wanted to make sure that you guys had the most up-to-date profile for this deck, as it is one of my favorite archetypes to come out of Ghost from the Past. As always, make sure if you enjoy the content that you don't forget to leave a comment down below, like the video, and subscribe. It really does help us out. We always appreciate your support. So let's go ahead and dive on into the video. Starting off with the main deck, of course, we have triple Starry Night, Starry Dragon. If he is normal or special summon from the hand, we get to target a card on the field and destroy it. And then if he battles a dark monster, we get to banish that monster, and then he can immediately afterwards make a second attack in a row. And also he cannot be destroyed by battle with a dark monster or by a dark monster's effects. Card you definitely want to play 3 of in the deck. You want to make sure you always have access to this card because otherwise it's going to be hard for you to really get anything going, as the deck does revolve around cycling him on and off of the board to disrupt your opponent. Moving on from there, we are going to move into the Starry Knights themselves. Of course, we've still got triple Raelle. She is the Stratos of the deck. So on normal summon, we get to add a Starry Night spell or trap card from our deck to our hand. And then if she's in the graveyard, we can banish her to target one of the Starry Knights, not the dragon, but the Knights themselves, and then special summon it. We can only use each of her effects once per turn. So just all around 2 great effects. That ability to search any Starry Night spell or trap gives us a lot of versatility based on what was in our opening hand. And then that second ability to special summon back from graveyard is great for the late game, maybe when you've run out of some of your other resources. You can use her to cycle one of your Starry Knights back onto the field and get your dragon going again. She is the only one we're playing 3 of in this updated build. Everything else is going to be at 2. So, of course, we've got 2 of a brand new Starry Night Seal. I do need to take a second to say, what the heck were you doing, Konami? You gave us literally this entire deck in Ultra Rare, but then held back Seal for Lightning Overdrive, and you couldn't even make him a rare or a super rare. You had to make him a common. Totally ruins the blinginess of the deck. But nonetheless, he is a great card in my opinion. If this card is in our hand, we can return 1 Starry Night monster or 1 level 7 Light Dragon monster we control to the hand, except for himself, and then special summon this card. And then also, if we control no monsters, we can banish him from our graveyard to special summon 1 level 7 Light Dragon monster from our hand. We can only use each effects once per turn. So 2 really great effects in my opinion. That first effect to bounce something back actually gives us a lot of versatility. We can use it on our dragon, obviously, to get it back into hand, be summoned again. But there's also the ability to use it on something like Raelle after you've normal summoned her in order to be able to reuse that normal summon effect on your next turn. So you could go normal summon Raelle, search whatever spell or trap you need, and then use Seal to bounce her back in order to utilize her again, since once she's on board, she doesn't really interact in any other way. You'd rather get the Seal out there and have the Raelle to save for later. So definitely a great card, but not one that you need at 3. I think 2 is the perfect number for this guy. Moving on from there, we've cut Flamel down to 2 copies. Still really powerful in my opinion, but we had to make room for this Seal somehow. So if our opponent's monster declares an attack, we can send him from our hand or face up field to the graveyard to special summon a level 7 Light Dragon from our hand. And then he does, of course, have that quick effect where we can banish him from the graveyard to target a level 7 Light monster we control or in our graveyard and return it to the hand. So obviously, maybe if you're trying to push for damage, you would normal summon him, but I kind of like the ability to hold him in hand to keep him as an unknown variable. And then maybe when our opponent thinks they can get in damage with something in the battle phase, we can discard him to go ahead and special summon out our dragon and destroy that monster. And then that graveyard effect, I think people really underestimate as well. The ability to recycle the dragon back to our hand later in the game can be extremely important. And then for the last Starry Night monster, we are going with 2 Estelle. I've seen a lot of arguments online for this card, which is actually why I decided to go with 2 of it. They talked me into it. So he has the quick effect ability that we can target one light monster we control, tribute it, and if we do, special summon a level 7 light dragon monster from our hand. And then if he's in our graveyard, we can banish him from our graveyard, then target a level 7 light dragon monster we control and have it gain 1,000 attack. So that quick effect ability to just get him out on the board and then tribute him, whenever we need to in order to special summon out the dragon can provide for some great disruption. It gives your opponent more to play around too. Maybe they know that you have your Starry Night Arrival or your ceremonies active, but having the Estelle gives another wrinkle they have to consider. Or if you have two of the Starry Night Dragons, then this way you can potentially get more than one out in a single turn, since that popping ability of Starry Night Dragon is not once per turn. So we're going with 2. I still think the graveyard effect is a little lacking on this guy, and obviously he's the weak in terms of attack, weakest in terms of attack, but still a all-around solid card. Moving on from there, we are still playing the artifact variant, so we have the 1 Scythe, and we have gone with 1 Moral Talk. You could still play Valencia, but since Lancia doesn't hit everything in this format, dinosaurs kind of fall out of favor with a lot of people. So you're not going to be able to hit every single deck with Lancia. I think Lancia works better in the side deck this format, so I decided to go ahead and move a Moral Talk into the main deck in order to provide that disruption against something where maybe they don't care about the extra deck as much, like Eldritch, or even Monarch, since people might be playing that a little bit more thanks to its new support. Having the 1 Scythe and the 1 Moral Talk just gives you a little bit more options, so I decided to go with a 1-1 split there. And then moving on into your hand traps, we've gone from Nibiru to triple Ash Blossom. I do think Nibiru is still pretty powerful, but again, not every deck in the format is going to be summoning 5 times, and a lot of the ones that can will know to put up a disruption before they get there. So I decided to go ahead and swap him out for Ash Blossom, but I do definitely think the Nibiru is still worth keeping in the sideboard. And if you don't have access to Ash Blossom, you could always still play the Nibiru or even something like Ghost Spell, which I think is also extremely powerful in the current metagame. That's going to do it for all of the monsters. Now we're going to move on into the spells. We, of course, have 3 Starry Night Balefire. This is going to allow us to search any of our Starry Night monsters or our level 7 Light Dragon monster, which of course is our Starry Night Dragon. And then if we activate it and control no monsters and our opponent controls a dark monster, after we activate it, we can special summon 1 level 7 Light Dragon monster from our hand. So in that situation, we could always use it to search for Starry Night Dragon and then immediately get the free special summon. That second ability, honestly, does not come up that much, but the ability to just search any of our Starry Night cards is obviously extremely powerful. From there, we do also have triple Starry Night Ceremony still. During our main phase, we get to reveal a light fairy monster in our hand. If we do, we add a light level 7 dragon monster from our deck to our hand, and then place that revealed card on the bottom of our deck. And then if our opponent activates a card or effect, we get to special summon a level 7 light dragon monster from our hand. So of course, the great thing, and the reason I mentioned in our last profile of this deck that I love this card with the artifact engine, is because normally you have to worry about drawing those artifacts and having them dead. But thanks to Ceremony, if that happens, we can always reveal them, add the dragon to our hand, and just put the artifact back into the deck. So it's not something we have to worry about in this deck, as you would in other decks playing the artifact engine. This card overall is just extremely powerful, and one of your best cards to open up with in the entire deck. From there, we are still also playing Triple Pot of Extravagance. Again, since this is such a trap-heavy variant of the deck, I think the ability to draw 2 cards and potentially get a couple of traps into your hand is still better than excavating the top 6 with something like Prosperity. I think the extra card is just very valuable for this deck, which is why I choose to go with Extravagance instead of Prosperity. And then we do have 2 Starry Night Sky. Not a card you always want to open up with, which is why we don't play 3 of. But during our main phase, we do get that additional normal summon of a Starry Night monster or level 7 Light Dragon monster in addition to our normal summon. And then during our turn, if we do happen to return that Starry Night Dragon from our field to our hand, we get to draw a card. Really, we're using the ability to get that additional summon to go into some Link 2 or Rank 4 plays, which I'll explain in the extra deck. Again, not a bad card, but something we just want to search out when we need it, rather than trying to open with it every time. That's going to do it for the spells. Moving on to the traps. Of course, we still have triple Artifact Sanctum. I just think that this engine pairs very well with the deck overall. We are playing more of a stun or control deck here, and the ability of Sanctum to just be unfair and lock our opponent out of their entire extra deck for a turn can be really powerful and really allow us to get stuff going for ourselves in that extra turn that we bought ourselves. From there, triple Infinite Impermanence. If y'all have watched any of my other profiles for this format, you know I really think this card is extremely good right now. And the ability to just have it act as an additional hand trap or get it set into your back row to act as an additional unknown for your opponent is just very good overall. We are still also on to Starry Night Arrival. This being a continuous trap that can either special summon out our dragon or return it to the hand is just very good because it gives us a reliable way to bring the dragon out whenever we want, or to get it off the board and back into our hand where it can be safe to be brought up by another card like Ceremony or Estelle. You don't need 3 of it because of all the searching you have going on in your deck, but it is a card that you'd like to see, so we decided to go with 2 copies. A very important card. I see some people not run it, but I think in any control variant of the deck, it's definitely something you want to have access to. We are still also playing double Starry Night Blast. Still wish this was a counter trap. Konami, why do you hate this deck? But when our opponent activates a card or effect, we return a level 7 Light Dragon monster we control to the hand to negate that effect, and if we do, destroy that card. So it gets our dragon back to our hand to be reused while providing a disruption. I think this is a great card for the deck. I just really wish it was at counter trap speed to avoid the potential of our opponent chaining to it. And then for the last 2 cards in the main deck, still double Dogmatica Punishment. While we do play some extra deck cards that we can go into, you don't need to go into your extra deck cards in most situations, so Punishment just acts as a great form of removal for the deck. I really think that it's an excellent card to be playing in any Starry Night deck. That's going to do it for the main deck. Moving on into the extra deck, we're going to get started with 2 of the brand new cards in the extra deck, which is going to be double Lina the Light Charmer. Of course, our whole main deck, monster-wise, is light. So finally having access to the Light Charmer is really great for the deck. She just takes 2 monsters, including a light monster. And then when she is special summoned, or actually not when she's special summoned, just once per turn, we can target 1 light monster in our opponent's graveyard, special summon it to a zone she points to, and then if she is destroyed by battle or card effect, while in our monster zone, we get to add a light monster with 1500 or less defense from our deck to our hand. So the reason I think Lina is, such a powerful card is because a lot of decks do play light monsters. It's one of the more popular attributes. So the ability to go into her and potentially steal a card from our opponent in order to help us get into a Link 3 or 4 is just great. And again, this deck does not need the extra deck too much. So I decided to go with 2 copies of her just to reduce the chances of her getting banished off Extrav, since she is one of the cards we would prefer to go into if we decide to go into a Link monster. From there, we have the 1 Nightmare Phoenix, just a utility option for us. And then for the last Link 2, we have the new addition of 1 Artifact Dagda. Just 2 monsters with different names. And then when the effect of another card on the field is activated, quick effect, we can set an artifact monster from our hand or deck, but then destroy it during our opponent's next end phase. So I think this is actually a great addition for the deck that I decided to add in. It's super easy to make, especially if we have the field spell where we can just make that additional normal summon and then go straight into the Dagda. And because we have Starry Night, Starry Dragon, we can set the artifact from our deck, and then during our opponent's turn, if we have Ceremony, if we have a rival, anything that we have to bring the dragon out, we can special summon it and destroy our own artifact card. in order to lock our opponent out for the turn. And then for the Soul Link 3 in the deck, we have the 1 Nightmare Unicorn. Again, just a utility option for us. Moving on into the Exceeds, these have changed a little bit. We are still playing the 1-star Leash Paladimo. Probably not going to come up too much, but the ability to get an effect negation off of him and reduce the opponent's monster attack at the same time is just a good option to have available to us. And all he takes is 2 level 4 light monsters, which all of our Starry Knights are. We then still have the 1 Evil Swarm Exciton Knight, just as a potential board wipe to kind of equalize things. We have the 1 Abyss Dweller, just to shut off graveyard effects. We do have the 1 number 41 Baguska, the Terribly Tired Tapir. If we don't open, ideally, and maybe we just feel like we need to buy ourselves some time, we can go into Baguska in order to do so. And then we are playing Punishment, so we do have Triple Elder Entity Nis. We maximize this to reduce the odds of banishing all of them off of Extravagance, because we want to make sure we have it available for that disruption off of Punishment. And then another new addition to the extra deck, I've decided to do the 2 Fossil Warrior Skull Knight. So Nis is great because it triggers when it's sent to the graveyard, which makes it ideal to use during our opponent's turn. But if it's our turn and we are using Punishment for some reason, maybe we don't need the immediate pop, we can send the Fossil Warrior Skull Knight instead, and then save that for whenever we're going to need to utilize it. So that's going to do it for this updated Starry Night deck profile. Let me know what you guys think, and let me know if you do want to see any other variants of the deck. I know a lot of people like the Ties of the Brevin variant with the Barrier statue. Let me know down in the comments if that's something you would like to see me build for you guys and show you my take on it. And again, as always, if you enjoyed the video and if you enjoy our content, please make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the upcoming videos. We've got a lot of cool stuff coming up for you guys, and I can't wait to share it with you. Till next time, I'm T with Battle City Games.